Hello. Hey, coming to you, talking to you about healing childhood trauma, right? PTSD. I actually just had an interview earlier today on a podcast that will be coming out a little bit later. Really excited about it. It was a whole lot of fun, and it really was talking about childhood trauma, talking about the issues that where we get stuck, where we had our model of the world get so violated that it created like a psychic scar, and a part of our soul almost gets trapped in that place. And that's what shamans, right, going back in time and releasing that prisoner, right? That's part of what shamans talk about when they say a soul retrieval, right? You're going back and retrieving a part of your soul, part of your psychic power, so to speak, that was trapped, right, by that gross, feeling, right, that because of what happened, because of some event, that happened. And ultimately, healing trauma is something that usually comes from landing on your face, a lot, right? Because we usually hide, right? And this is part of my story and part of what I was going through is, you know, when we feel so violated, it's usually because we feel like there was no way to really fight back. And if there was no way to fight back, well, then we're powerless. And there's very few things that make us feel more powerless than being a kid and having your rights taken away, whether that's being beat, being screamed at, emotional, physical abuse. Because as a kid, you're even more powerless, right? Because there's a different dimension to that powerlessness. And up until we're about the age of 7, our brain's actually in what's called a theta brainwave state, which means that we don't actually have the ability to think critically. When you're in a dream and you're dreaming, you might be in one place one moment, and then 2 seconds later you're in a different place. You don't really stop to question, well, that's strange, wasn't I just somewhere else, right? Because you just go with it, right? And this is how kids' brains are, and this is why kids are so easily imprinted upon, and this is why it's so easy to tell a kid, hey, you're not good enough, or have them hear you're not good enough and then feel that and then hold on to that. And if that you're not good enough is given with a fist, or with lots of screaming and lots of angst and lots of anger, well then that's going to drive different scarring, and it's going to create different patterns that are going to be run throughout somebody's life. And with that, it's important to understand that we try to protect ourselves by erecting walls, right? I certainly did this. I know I'm not the only one. We try to erect these walls to be like, okay, well, there's these outside influences that are coming to get me. Well, let me erect these walls and then I'll be protected. The problem with that is that fear is actually coming from within. And it's how we're reacting to the outer environment. The outer environment isn't actually driving our fear. The fear is coming from within. So when we put a wall up, we're actually trapping ourselves behind that fear, behind those emotions, behind that guilt, that shame. And a wall is indiscriminate. A wall is going to keep out bad things. It's also going to keep out good things. And so if there's something that's good that we could receive, well, we're not going to be in a place to receive it because we've got our walls up. And usually it comes from something terrible happening, that your walls kind of lie flat, right? Your walls will flatten, and that's when we open up our intuition. And this is part of the conversation that I had, is that that intuition opening up is something that didn't really happen in my life until something terrible actually happened. And on the full circle wellspring trauma survivorhood podcast, I was really talking about how when those fell, that's when I really started my headlong into a spiritual journey. And why I like the idea of spirituality more than religion is because you're certainly going to run into people who are spiritual that say you have to do this, right? They're going to treat their spirituality like grammar rules, and they might be grammar Nazis, like a vegan, right? If you're ever around a vegan, and you know how you'll know that you're around a vegan, they'll let you know in a matter of minutes. I don't have anything against vegans. My mom's a vegan, but they'll let you know. And they'll tell you, as you're enjoying your hamburger or enjoying a steak, they'll tell you everything that you're not supposed to enjoy about it. And it's important to understand that we're here for our own story. And kind of lost my train of thought there. I kind of made myself laugh. Yeah, sorry about that. And I wasn't really sure where I was going with the whole vegan thing. I'm sure it'll come back to me if it's important. But the main thing here is that the rules and spirituality. So many people will treat it like being a vegan, and they'll tell you about everything that you're doing wrong and everything that's bad. And look, there's certainly things that are counterproductive that we can do in our lives, and there's certainly things that are productive that we can do in our lives. But moralizing good and bad, that's all in the mind of man. Right. And so nature isn't moral. Is it moral that a wolf takes down a deer? Well, I mean, it's a bad day for that deer, probably a good day for that wolf and her pups. Right. And so morality doesn't really have a place in the world outside of the mind of man. And love, though, love does. Love is universal. You can see love, and truth. You can see that play. And truth is kind of a tricky thing because there's people who will assign truth to a fact, and they'll demand that truth is objective. But in my experience, truth has been pretty subjective. You ask somebody what's true, and they'll say that their God is true, their church is true, their dogma is true, but then so will the next person, and so will the next person. And they're all going to have different variations of something similar, I'm sure, but they're still not the same thing. And if it was objective, well, then they couldn't all be saying it's true, yet they live with the deep conviction that it is. So truth, I think when we allow ourselves to understand that truth is something that is, more subjective than it is objective, right? In a court of law, there's a different truth than what we were just talking about. But when we give ourselves the ability to think of what is truth to us, well, that can really allow us to let go of a lot of the things that, that held true in the past. And a lot of things that hold true are like claws that hold into us: guilt, shame, anger, sadness. And if we can't let those go, right, if we can't find a new truth, a better truth, well, it only drags our life down. And this is kind of a pre-show of what I'll be talking about tomorrow. So tomorrow I am putting on an event for an hour, and those who stay to the full time, I'm actually going to be putting on a healing circle afterwards, right? Those who know me know that I, have, these physics-based, healing. You can call them magical. I often do, because magic is nothing more than physics that we don't understand. And even, a quote I got from a physicist, when you believe in magic, you live a magical life. And so I'll be taking people through a healing circle. So it's not just theory, right? It's not just the stuff that I'm talking about, but then I can actually take you through a meditation so you can actually feel this and experience this in real time. And I've had people, heal arthritis within 24 hours. I've had people, well, let me take a step back. Their pain gone within 24 hours, gone. They can actually start going to the gym again. And 3 days later, they're actually on their third day at the gym. So did their arthritis heal? I mean, I would say yes, because the pain was gone, but I didn't get tests done. I didn't get x-rays, but I don't know if you have arthritis and your pain's gone and you didn't take a drug and you feel great and you can go and work out and you can go run around and not hurt afterwards. I don't know, that sounds healed to me. I've seen a bicep tendon heal within 5 days. Pain was gone, 30% more movement in the arm within 5 days, 30%, right? Not through physical therapy, which only made it worse, not through, orthopedic surgeon, which only made it worse, not through chiropractor, that only made it worse, through meditation. And within 3 weeks, 70% movement in the arm. 70%. Couldn't move past, the side of her hip, but by 3 weeks could start moving up her back. How crazy is that? All through meditation, right? And so it's hard for the left brain to wrap its mind around that. Like, what? How's that possible? Right? Worked with veterans, right? Helped their PTSD, and just talk about how much freedom they felt, within a week, right? And mental disorders, right? People feeling so much anguish, so much depression, so much, that they had so much trauma, so much childhood trauma, that when they would feel stressed, well, then it'd go in this violent reaction that would then create these wheals, right? If you know what a wheal is, basically like a blister on their skin, and they'd itch and they'd scratch them and create these nasty scabs all over their arms. Within 2 weeks, gone. And that was somebody in New Zealand, right? The tendon was in South Africa, right? So I've worked with people across 5 different continents. And so show up, feel the magic, right? Let me give you some stuff for the mind to latch onto, and the reason why I do that, right? It's purposeful, right? Because people just have a really deep need to understand, hey, how the hell does this actually work? And part of that's because the mind is the defense mechanism. If we walk into a new space, well, then, there's going to be immediately be assumed threat, right? Anything new, the mind's going to assume threat. That's just what it's going to do. And so if we don't know what's going on, well, then the mind's going to stay active, right? Lao Tzu, who is credited for writing the Tao Te Ching, said, to the still mind, the entire universe surrenders, right? To the still mind, right? The kingdom of heaven is within you. Right? That's what Jesus said, but you can't access the kingdom of heaven until when, right? You still your mind. Because when you still your mind, the entire universe surrenders the secrets to the kingdom of heaven. And so once you still your mind, and that's part of we say that the devil's in the details, right? Well, where do all the details live? They live in the noise in the mind. And so we get trapped, right, in the matrix here, right? Our belief system, get trapped in the matrix, get trapped by the devil. But when we allow the devil to go quiet and go still, is when that angelic realm can really roar up and open up and show us the kingdom of heaven within ourselves. And within days, right? Everyone I've worked with, have felt powerful changes within days. Heart disease, Lyme disease, and so show up, right? Get some benefit. Let go of that which is holding you down. Right? Maybe, you rip yourself apart like I used to when, before I go to sleep or try to go to sleep, I'd lay down, just beat myself up hours and hours, humiliate myself in ways that I'd never allow anyone else to, right? I would proudly proclaim to others that I was my own worst enemy. And if that's something that you don't like, and that maybe you're even kind of ashamed that you do it, that it's wrong, that it's not good for you, that you would never let anyone else do it. That you overreact when people start getting close and push your buttons, and that's not really a way that you like to feel. Well, look, this is going to be for you. So I'll see you tomorrow. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern time, at 4 p.m. Pacific time. If you're seeing this on Facebook Live, you'll see a link to that in the comments. And otherwise, if you see this on YouTube, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and have the link to the registration in the details. So that way you can go ahead and register. You can get the Zoom link so you can join us tomorrow, find out how to heal that inner child, how to let go of that childhood trauma. And when we do, right, that we heal the PTSD, well, then our relationships rocket, because our relationships can't become any better than how we see ourselves. And if we see ourselves as our own worst enemy, how's a relationship ever going to survive that? Right? Aren't we inviting somebody to take part, in the most intimate ways, within our life, and we're our own worst enemy, and we're inviting them to dance that dance of being our own worst enemy? How can anything survive that? So when you change that, when you change that trauma, when you heal that trauma, everything changes. Everything. Rocket your relationships and your quality of life. Go to sleep happy, wake up happy. Everything changes. So just register. I'll see you tomorrow. at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific time, and really looking forward to it. And I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Have a blessed day. Hope you feel better. And to everyone who shows up, right, there's probably gonna be a free gift involved there for you too. So I will chat with you later. May love and truth always guide your path.